Against Ukraine, Russia has just launched another massive strike. Hundreds of drones and dozens of missiles were sent across the border, aiming at a multitude of towns and cities spread far and wide across Ukrainian territory, which included the capital Kyiv and other significant urban centers like Kharkiv and Dnipro. For many months now, this is the type of assault Ukraine has been compelled to endure on an almost nightly basis. Attacks of this nature frequently result in widespread destruction and mass casualties, leaving residential homes and other structures reduced to rubble. This time, however, Ukraine was prepared for the assault, and its counteraction was both brutal and swift, a powerful testament to how far the nation has progressed. The strike from Russia took place overnight, starting on October 9th and continuing into the early morning of October 10th. Following a familiar pattern, the Kremlin's forces initiated a gigantic aerial assault against Ukraine, unleashing nearly 500 aerial weapons in this single attack. To be more specific, the assault comprised a mix of cruise and ballistic missiles, in addition to Shahed-style drones and other unmanned attack vehicles. The Ukrainian Air Force calculated a total of 497 aerial threats, which broke down into an astounding 465 drones of different types and 32 missiles. Compounding the situation, Russia's attack came from multiple directions. From the north, east, and even the south, missiles and drones crossed the borders, entering Ukraine from Russia's regions of Kursk, Milorovo, Shatalovo, Oryol, Shakhty, and Primorsko-Akhtarsk. Leading the charge were 200 Iranian-made Shahed drones with more swarms trailing behind. Additionally, Russian forces fired 2 Kinzhal ballistic missiles from the Lipetsk direction, 14 Iskander-M ballistic missiles, which can hit peak speeds over 5,000 miles per hour, 7 times the speed of sound, and 12 Iskander-K cruise missiles. 4 more Kh-59-69 guided air-launched missiles were also part of the barrage. This was not just an enormous attack. It was one that featured a diverse collection of weaponry. This diversity made it a significantly more complex challenge to counter, as none of these weapons adhered to the same patterns or behaviors. Each is different, unique, and requires entirely different methods to be intercepted and brought down before reaching its target. For instance, if Ukraine were only facing 500 Shahed drones and no other types of missiles or drones, it would know precisely how fast they travel, their range, and their capabilities. Its forces could then rapidly identify the best interception methods and deploy the necessary defenses, likely eliminating almost all the drones with minimal damage. Similarly, if Ukraine faced only a single missile type, it could at least recognize the model and implement the correct countermeasures. But when Russia diversifies its attack to such a degree, launching so many different kinds of drones and missiles at varying speeds, altitudes, and flight paths, Ukraine's defenders are faced with a much more formidable task. They cannot depend on one system or a single air defense strategy to handle all these varied threats. Their response must be equally diverse, proactive, and rapid, selecting the right tools at the right moments to neutralize every incoming weapon. And this is precisely why Russia designed the attack this way. By using different missiles, drones, and a variety of launch vectors, they aimed to both overwhelm and confuse Ukraine's defenses. They likely had great expectations for this strike. The Kremlin might have anticipated causing widespread destruction throughout Ukraine, with numerous buildings leveled and a dramatic toll of dead and injured. It might also have aimed to gather valuable intelligence on any potential weaknesses in the Ukrainian air defense grid, which could then inform subsequent strikes in the coming days and weeks. On paper, the Kremlin's confidence was not unfounded. As noted, attacks of this nature are exceptionally difficult to handle, and nearly any other nation on Earth would find it a struggle to defend against a strike of this scale. This includes major military superpowers. Even nations with some of the largest defense budgets and most powerful armies are just beginning to navigate the fast-evolving landscape of drone warfare. They have not yet perfected the strategies and tactics needed to fend off such intense and erratic aerial assaults. This was illustrated recently when Russian drones crossed into Polish airspace. The Polish Air Force, with support from NATO allies, scrambled fighter jets but succeeded in taking down only 4 drones, even though an estimated 19 to 23 had entered the area. If Poland or another NATO member had to contend with hundreds of drones plus missiles, those tactics would be woefully inadequate. Ukraine, however, is different. It's different because Ukraine has been managing this sort of threat for a long time. It has endured countless drone and missile attacks just like this one. Just a month ago, it faced the largest Russian strike of the war to date, which involved more than 800 Shahed-type drones and 13 cruise and ballistic missiles targeting Kyiv and other cities on the night of September 7th. Earlier this month, another huge attack occurred, featuring over 500 attack drones and more than 50 missiles aimed at numerous regions across Ukraine, such as Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Zaporizhzhia, Cherniv, Kharkiv, Kherson, Sumy, Kirovohrad, and Odessa. This is the grim reality of the war today. With each new week, new reports of record-breaking Russian attacks surface. Every month in 2025, thousands of drones and hundreds of missiles have violated Ukrainian airspace, and this level of intense aggression shows no signs of stopping or diminishing anytime soon. So, on October 9th, when the Kremlin's commanders once again greenlit a major assault on multiple Ukrainian cities and towns, they probably anticipated, sitting back to hear reports pour in about direct hits, destroyed infrastructure, and dozens, if not hundreds, of additional innocent Ukrainian civilians killed or injured. Unfortunately for Russia and its president Vladimir Putin, the attack did not unfold as they had envisioned. This is because Ukraine not only possesses more experience than any other nation in the world in enduring massive, regular drone attacks, but is also better than almost any other country at countering them. And that is precisely what transpired. Despite the terrifying size and scope of the assault, Ukraine's integrated air defense network, which comprises everything from mobile fire teams and electronic warfare units to fighter pilots and surface-to-air missile brigades, responded with speed and effectiveness. As a result, by 10 a.m. on October 10th, Ukrainian forces had managed to neutralize nearly every single aerial threat. In total, they downed or suppressed 420 targets. On the night of October 10th from 19 to 1 on October 9th, the enemy launched a combined strike on the territory of Ukraine using strike UAVs, air and ground-based missiles. In total, the Air Force radio-technical troops detected and escorted 497 air attack vehicles, 32 missiles, and 465 UAVs of various types. The air attack was repelled by aviation, anti-aircraft missile troops, electronic warfare and unmanned systems units, and mobile fire groups of the defense forces of Ukraine. According to preliminary data, as of 10 red hours, air defenses shot down, suppressed 420 air targets, 405 enemy UAVs of the Shahed, Gerbera types, drones of other types, 1 aeroballistic missile KH-47M2 Dagger, 4 Iskander MKN-23 ballistic missiles, 9 Iskander K cruise missiles, 1 KH-5969 guided aircraft missile. In addition, 4 enemy missiles did not reach their targets. Lost in location, the places of impact are being specified. Direct hits of 13 missiles and 60 strike UAVs were recorded at 19 locations, and downed ones, fragments, fell at 7 locations. Thus, not only did Ukraine succeed in eliminating close to 85% of Russia's aerial arsenal, but several more missiles also missed their targets. Only a small portion, 13 missiles and 60 unmanned aerial vehicles, actually managed to cause damage. This serves as a testament to how incredibly skilled Ukraine has become at resisting Russia's aerial assaults and how formidable its vast, multi-layered air defense umbrella now is, thanks to a combination of domestic innovations and crucial support from Ukraine's allies in NATO and the West. Indeed, the fact that Ukraine successfully intercepted a Kinzhal, one of the fastest ballistic missiles in existence, capable of speeds up to Mach 10 or over 7,600 miles per hour, is perhaps the most remarkable part of this story. It demonstrates that Ukraine's defenders are skillfully utilizing sophisticated Western-supplied air defense systems, such as American Patriots and SAMP-T batteries, to neutralize hypersonic missiles previously labeled as unstoppable. Each time Ukraine achieves a feat like this, it chips away at Russia's confidence and diminishes whatever strategic edge the Kremlin believes it holds. It also serves to validate Ukraine's strategy, proving the country is on the right track, becoming stronger, and more resilient with each passing day. Of course, despite the many positive takeaways from this event, a number of drones and missiles did penetrate Ukraine's defenses and inflict damage across the nation. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky detailed the full, unvarnished impact of the attack on X, writing, "At many critical infrastructure sites, recovery efforts continue following Russia's strike on the energy sector. It was a cynical and calculated attack, with more than 450 drones and over 30 missiles targeting everything that sustains normal life, everything the Russians want to deprive us of. As of now, more than 20 people across the country have been reported injured. All are receiving the necessary assistance. Sadly, a child was killed in Zaporizhzhia as a result of the attack. My sincere condolences to the family and loved ones." The tragic loss of a young, innocent life is a stark reminder that even when Ukraine can expertly defend its territory from the vast majority of Russian drones and missiles, the few that slip past interceptors' EW systems and mobile fire teams can still cause unspeakable harm. Zelensky continues, "In Kyiv, repair crews are working to restore power and water supply. Power outages have been reported in the Kyiv, Donetsk, Chernihiv, Cherkasy, Kharkiv, Sumy, Poltava, Odessa, and Dnipro regions. Zaporizhzhia, Kirovohrad, and Kherson regions are also recovering after the attack. All relevant services are working on recovery, and first responders are operating wherever needed. I receive regular reports from Minister for Development of Communities and Territories, Oleksiy Kuleba, Minister of Energy Svitlana Grinchuk, Minister of Internal Affairs Ihor Klimenko, and local officials. Maximum efficiency is required from government representatives at all levels." Concluding his tweet, Zelensky denounced the Kremlin's actions, highlighting that this was another instance of Russia targeting energy and civilian infrastructure instead of legitimate military targets. He urged Ukraine's allies in Europe and across the Atlantic to maintain sanctions and continue sending aid. "It is precisely the civilian and energy infrastructure that is the main target of Russia's strikes ahead of the heating season. Together we can protect people from this terror. What's needed is not window dressing but decisive action from the United States, Europe, and the G7 in delivering air defense systems and enforcing sanctions. We count on a response to this brutality from the G20 and from all those who speak of peace in their statements yet refrain from taking real steps. The world can defend itself against these crimes, and doing so will undoubtedly strengthen global security. Thank you to everyone who is helping. There is no question that Ukraine will benefit from more support from its allies to withstand whatever Russia directs its way in the coming weeks and months. In the meantime, however, this incident illustrates that Kyiv is performing a remarkable job defending its territory and warding off a significant portion of the Kremlin's threats. It requires a staggering degree of air defense technology, coordination, and strategy to neutralize hundreds of drones and dozens of missiles within a single night. Yet this is precisely what Ukraine accomplished on October 9th, and what it has accomplished on many other occasions in the preceding weeks and months. For example, back on October 5th, when Russia initiated a similarly large-scale attack involving nearly 550 total aerial objects fired from various directions, Ukrainian air defense systems successfully neutralized 478 targets. This included 439 Shahed and Gerbera drones, 1 Kinjal missile, 32 Iskander-K cruise missiles, and 6 Caliber cruise missiles. This kind of story repeats itself with regularity. Russia launches hundreds of drones toward Ukraine, and Ukraine remarkably manages to shoot down almost all of them, turning millions, if not billions, of dollars of Russian military hardware into smoke. Tragically, some losses are still incurred, and the people of Ukraine have had to mourn thousands of civilian casualties this year alone. The situation is far from stable or sustainable, but the fact that the Ukrainian armed forces consistently intercept over 80% of all incoming aerial threats is a reason for encouragement. While it isn't enough to save every life or protect every building, it makes a profound difference in containing the level of damage the Kremlin's weapons can inflict. It is also worth noting that Ukraine seems, overall, to be improving its ability to down Russian drones in large numbers thereby minimizing casualties and damage with each successive attack. Meanwhile, as Russia persists with these ruthless and reckless aerial strikes on civilian infrastructure like hospitals, homes, and power plants, Ukraine is responding with its own far more brutally efficient attacks. Indeed, just a few days after this event, on the night of October 13th, Ukrainian drones hit the largest Russian oil depot in the Crimean coastal city of Feodosia. A massive fire erupted following the attack, and a source from the Ukrainian Security Service, SBU, confirmed the damage extent to the Kyiv Independent. Drones hit at least 5 tanks. A large-scale fire is recorded on the territory of the oil depot. Videos from locals shared online quickly provided a clear image of the scene, depicting an enormous blaze with thick plumes of black smoke billowing from the depot and darkening the skies over Feodosia. Residents also noted the fire's glow was visible from a great distance. The SBU source added that a nearby electrical substation was also damaged, as was another substation in the inland city of Simferopol, stating, "The SBU continues to systematically reduce the enemy's military, logistical, and economic capacity to wage war against Ukraine." The Russian Defense Ministry, on the other hand, claimed to have shot down over 100 Ukrainian drones across Russian regions and occupied Ukrainian territories, with 40 downed over Crimea. Evidently, the Kremlin's best efforts were once again insufficient to prevent the strike on this critical piece of oil infrastructure, and it's impossible to know just how much oil has literally gone up in smoke. The facility is known to be a multifunctional site for transshipping oil and its products between rail, sea, and road networks, with a staggering total capacity of 250,000 tons of fuel. This makes it a crucial component of the Kremlin's war machine, supplying the fuel for everything from tanks and jeeps to aircraft and generators. Reports also suggested that a day after the attack, the facility was still burning. A massive column of smoke remained visible for miles, according to local media and telegram posts from the Crimean Wind Channel, which reported, "Poisonous smoke floats over the city, which can be seen even from Stary Krim, 25 kilometers away. The smell can be felt even 10 kilometers from the place of the fire." Crimean Wind also mentioned that over 800 people were evacuated from the vicinity, revealing in subsequent posts that 6 fuel tanks were on fire, and a colossal smoke column approximately 36 kilometers, 22 miles long, stretched across Crimea toward the Kerch Peninsula, illustrating the immense scale of the initial blaze. This is another perfect illustration of the stark difference in tactics between the two sides. Russia unleashes everything it has at scattered targets across Ukraine, using brute force to try and overwhelm its adversary and inflict as much damage as possible on anyone or anything in its path, including innocent civilians and non-military infrastructure. Ukraine, by contrast, selects its targets with much greater care, systematically picking off key elements of Russia's fuel infrastructure to plunge the country into a state of chaos. Its attacks have been dramatically more effective than its enemies, with Russia now grappling with an unprecedented fuel crisis. Prices have soared by 50% or more in some areas, and many gas stations have been forced to either close down or ration the types and amounts of fuel available to customers. This latest strike on the Feodosia oil depot will only exacerbate this crisis, pushing the Kremlin into an even more desperate and dire situation. You can learn much more about this specific incident and how it fits into Ukraine's broader strategy of targeting energy infrastructure in our recent video on the subject. Alternatively, check out this video to see how Russia's supposedly invincible state-of-the-art T-90M tanks survived for less than a day on Ukraine's battlefields. Remember to subscribe to our channel to stay informed and up-to-date on all the major news and developments from this war and other significant military conflicts around the world.